No, we weren't really into spreading democracy yet. That wasn't a thing for us. So a lot of pro-French people are pretty furious about this. And so a revolutionary, like a French revolutionary guy named Genet, came to America to try to convince Americans, and specifically Washington, to turn his ideas around, right? To support the French in this war and help them out. And his name was Citizen Genet. If you remember from French Revolution, everybody was called Citizen that or Citizen this. Remember that? Citizen Genet came over, and he was talking crap about Washington, saying Americans really wanted to support the French, trying to appeal to the American voters, get Washington to overturn this proclamation, and Washington had him removed from the country. Told him to get the. No, he was an envoy. He came over as an official envoy from the French to try to get America to turn their ideas. And Washington told him to get out. What's the significance of us getting rid of Genet? It's the beginning of our end alliance with France, and we're also, Washington's not going to put up with somebody in our country who's foreign trying to appeal to the voters. This is America. You know, 30, 40 years ago, people could come in the colonies and sort of tell us what to do, but not anymore. We're our own country, and Genet, you got to go. So now we're officially neutral. In fact, America will pretty much stay out of foreign affairs. That is to say, we'll stay out of foreign wars until World War I. That's not to say we didn't go to war, but we didn't tend to ally with other countries, and we'll get to that a little bit later. So let's talk about Jay's Treaty. All right. This is one significant thing about this before we get going. Jay's Treaty, before we get to it, this is the most. This is the beginning of the Jeffersonian, like literally the actual formed and organized party. The Party of Democrat, Republican, Jeffersonians formed as a reaction to this. Who did not like the British? Jeffersonians did. Who favored the British? The Federalists did. Well, we were still in relative conflict with the British because they kept impressing our sailors. What does it mean to impress a sailor?
Swear them a lot.
Yeah, it doesn't mean like just take off your shirt and flex. You're like, wow, I'm impressed. I do that a lot, like when older women, like grandmothers, walk by. I'm like, look at this granny. And she's like, wow. I'm like, that's right, 80-year-old. That's how I get chicks.
80-year-old chicks.
They got more money. Hannah looks at me with judging eyes. They're just happy I have my teeth, right? You're not really competing against. It's easier to compete against, 85-year-old men. Right. They were impressing our sailors. The British were literally taking our sailors and oftentimes making them be on their ships. They were also, if you remember, still on the frontier, arming Native Americans. And we were none too happy about it. So we decided to send an envoy over to England to try to negotiate an end to this impressment of our sailors and the stuff going on the frontier. So we send John Jay. And he had a strategy on how to win. But Hamilton was worried. Right? Hamilton did not want us to screw over the British. He wanted us and the British to remain allies. He was pro-British. He actually sent over, before John Jay got there, he sent over to the British all the stuff John Jay was going to say so they would have an answer to it, so the British would actually get a better treaty out of it, and the British would win. Hamilton did that. What's that kind of sound like? Kind of like treason, right?
He deserves to be shot.
His argument was, Hamilton wasn't...
Why not? He committed treason.
I'm tired. Hamilton did this. He thought it was actually the patriotic thing to do. Because he said in the long run, we cannot go to war with the British. So even if we have a treaty with them that kind of screws us over, in the long run it's better for America. That was his argument, Tiger, whether you like it or not.
He still committed treason. And he's dead.
Well, lots of people from then are all dead. Actually, all of them are. So, you think Hamilton deserved to be shot?
Yes.
Noted. All right. So the provisions of the treaty are actually kind of ridiculous. Number one, the British said, yes, we are going to remove all of our posts from the frontier. Guess what they did not do? Remove their posts in the frontier. In fact, we're going to go to war in 1812, and this is a big part of it. They also, and this is my favorite, they refused to say, we're going to stop impressing sailors. They were like, no, we're going to keep doing this. You don't like it, but we're going to continue to keep taking your ships and your men. And we signed off on this. We're like, okay, that's a pretty good deal. You can keep screwing us over. Yeah, we'll take that. So we really got nothing. And the Jeffersonians were furious on this. They felt like they got bamboozled, hoodwinked. Okay. So the Jeffersonians were pretty angry about this. They want very few concessions. They're going to keep taking our crap. And the reaction to this is... the formation of the Democratic Republican Party with Jefferson as the head of it. So now we literally have the Federalist Party and the Democrat Republicans. That's one group. The Democrat Republicans is one group. They were called Democrat Republicans. Okay. We also have Pinckney's Treaty. If you'll remember, the Spanish actually cut off the mouth of the Mississippi River in New Orleans. They own that. And they wanted to be closer to America, so they allowed us to have more rights to the Mississippi River and gave us access to the mouth of Mississippi. And we ratified that. So that's good. So other countries are seeing that America is a country that maybe we want to become allies with, and Spain gave us a little bit of help. And this is setting up that eventually, about 25 years later, we'll end up getting Florida from the Spanish, right? Our relationship's good enough with the Spanish now that we can actually start thinking about getting some of their land. All right? So Pinckney's Treaty is setting up the Florida Treaty. The Adams-Owen Treaty, actually. All right, look, we've already got one whole page done.
What was the main result of the Pinckney Treaty?
That we have better relations with the Spanish, and the Mississippi River we can use now, which actually makes Western people happier, because this is how they can get some goods to market. They can get on the Mississippi. It's also going to be important because later, as steamboats are invented, the Mississippi becomes a vital highway in America, and will open us up to expanding land. It's kind of a big deal. Okay, that's our foreign policy between Britain and... listen, based on what I told you about Republicans and Democrats, does all fit into how they think it, right? Republican Democrats hate the British, did not like John Jay's treaty. Hamiltonian Federalists wanted a better relationship with the British, so they screw over America so we can actually have a better relationship with the British and the British get what they want. That should fit. Okay? Now, because of the Northwest Ordinance, Americans are moving west. What's the problem the further Americans move west? We're coming into further and further contact with Native Americans, right? So as we come into further and further contact with Native Americans, there becomes conflict, right? And one of them is with the Iroquois Nation as we're moving here, right? The Iroquois is up here. And I'm not going to go into a ton of the battles, but this battle right here, do you see 1794, the Battle of Fallen Timbers is up there? Right around here, the Iroquois, the Shawnee, they're fighting against the American troops led by Anthony Wayne. His nickname was Mad Anthony Wayne. He was not a fan of Native Americans. Today, what's a city in Indiana named after him? Does anyone know?
Yeah, Fort Wayne.
Fort Wayne. Fort Wayne's named after Indiana. Fort Wayne's named after Anthony Wayne. The Battle of Fallen Timbers will end up resulting in the Battle of Greenville. this actually settles Native American disputes and opens up almost all of Ohio for white settlement. So essentially what I want you to know is, as we're pushing further west, we're getting big Native American battles that end up settling disputed territory, pushing the Americans even further west, and allowing for American settlement. That was a lot of stuff we did today, but that's